failed hotfixes and patches, a couple of unreleased German soldier sets, and the disastrous state that Battlefield 5 currently is in. This is your week on the battlefield. Welcome to this episode of This Week on the Battlefield, the show where we cover news, updates, the community, and so much more, all around the Battlefield franchise. In this week's episode, then, we have the new Squad Conquest maps to talk about, HOTFIX 4.01, or Hot Mess 4.01 if you ask me. Next week's unlocks, some data mining, the community outrage around the state of Battlefield 5, and of course, the usual only in Battlefield moments for you guys to enjoy. To start off then this week, of course, we have two new Squad Conquest maps, Narvik and Devastation specifically, both of them infantry exclusive, bringing the total number of Squad Conquest maps up to 7 from previously 5, and the number of infantry exclusive Squad Conquest maps up to 5 from 3 previously, meaning there's actually only 2 non-infantry exclusive Squad Conquest maps in the game as of now, those specifically being Hamada and Aras, 2 of the 3 launch Squad Conquest maps, which brings up an actual interesting point. Do you prefer Squad Conquest as infantry exclusive experience, essentially a very close version to what Domination is, just with a slightly reduced player count, or are you more of the Squad Conquest fan, looking to have some vehicles on most maps as well to mix things up? Whichever you prefer, undoubtedly getting new maps for Squad Conquest is not a bad thing. What didn't work quite as well for DICE this week, however, was HOTFIX or Update 4.01, seeking to fix the Xbox crashing and stability issues with hit registrations both between infantry players fighting infantry players and infantry on vehicle or even vehicle on vehicles, pretty much any kind of hit registration issues, and face paints not being equipable for the German factions. Now, but for the face paint fix, none of the actual hotfixes worked, which means yes, Xbox users are still facing repeated crashes while playing Battlefield 5. Now, instead of mid-round, it's actually starting as you load into the round, meaning you don't even get to play half a game, now instead just have to resign to not playing at all. DICE is aware of it, they're looking at it, they believe it's rooted in a similar issue to what originally caused the Xbox issue crashes. However, when this is to be fixed is yet to be seen, with them giving us the information that part of the fix failed in the live environment, a sentence, particularly that fix in live environment, that we've heard for the past 4 or 5 patches now, synonymous of course with the failure of DICE to put out a single update that doesn't break half the game. If you're looking for hit registration issues, you'll find plenty of those in Battlefield 5 as well, because according to my own experiences, those are live and well, for a matter of fact, even more pronounced in my personal playtest, although I can't speak of course for the masses as whole. Also, the other issues that are currently plaguing Battlefield 5, or the most notable ones, such as the invisible soldier, damage counting being client-side broken, meaning you do 170 damage against a target where you maybe only do 90 damage, and even Al Sudan Conquest, have all not been fixed. Well, Al Sudan Conquest has actually been fixed, but they found new bugs related to visual artifacting, meaning that Al Sudan is yet again once more delayed, and should be coming sometime mid-July, the only silver lining there being it should not delay the launch of Marisha towards the end of this month. In terms of a couple things to look forward to, next week we should be getting the Karabin 1938 semi-automatic rifle of Polish origin and design as a weekly Tides of War mission reward, meaning next week on Thursday. We should also be getting more details on the mid-July patch, or update 4.1 as it is known, as that is now finished and currently just simply in testing, where I'm sure they will find all the bugs that this patch will introduce once it goes live. We should be getting more details on what that patch includes next week, but we do as far already know that the damage indication fix, or the damage counting client-side fix, as previously stated, where you get shown a higher amount of damage than you actually do against your enemy target, and that supposedly will be fixed with this update, but whether that fix actually works in practice remains to be seen, I guess. Also, in week 4 of this chapter of Tides of War, that's July 18th to 25th, Rush will be coming back to Battlefield 5, hopefully with some new maps, but no details on that just yet. Also, Braddock, one of the Battlefield 5 community managers, put out a post letting us know that they will be covering missteps and changes being made in the background to identify and avoid some of the current quality problems that are facing Battlefield 5, and detail those in a community health broadcast sometime in the future soon TM. So who knows when we'll actually see that. Also, for the sake of including at least one positive piece of news information this week, Temporyal made sure to leak us a couple of unreleased soldier sets, one epic, one rare, one common, all for the German faction, with Winterkrieg being the epic, Bergsteiger being the rare, and Wanderer being the common unlock. In other words, you're not going to be able to get one of them if you don't want to spend real life money. In positive news, however, they do seem to be slightly more traditional or realistic, authentic uniforms, meaning those of you who are not large fans of the more eccentric styles that DICE has been going after more recently will find that these are more to their liking. But stepping over into the community news section of this video, where really we're just jumping straight into a salt pit this week, and honestly, for good reason. The state of Battlefield 5 is no secret, an absolute disaster, and would even be bad for a public beta, more like a pre-alpha test stage. Actually, the pre-alpha of Battlefield 5 probably worked better than the current version of the game. I did actually play the pre-alpha, so I actually would know, which is an embarrassment in itself. Now, I'm not going to be going into too much detail here because this is not a video about that, but I would recommend, if you want a dose of extra salt for yourself, to check out one of Westie's video. I'll have a link with the according timestamp down below in the description, where he covers essentially what is the disastrous state of Battlefield 5, not just right now, but from launch to where we are right now, all the issues that have essentially turned the community against DICE. As for me myself, I currently find it quite difficult sometimes to actually play Battlefield 5. It's an extraordinarily frustrating experience, especially for somebody who has played Battlefield for so many hundreds, thousands of hours through various different games and is a massive fan of the franchise. I mean, just in terms of the state of the game, we have performance and stuttering issues, netcode issues, damage display issues, crashing, especially on console, Al Sudan being delayed for multiple weeks with multiple bugs, faulty weapon assignments such as the MAB Mastery 5 assignment, or even as far back as the PO8 pistol carbine introduced sometime in Chapter 3 a number of weeks ago, most certainly. And that's just the bugs and performance issues, the actual underlying gameplay and balance issues that you'd want to be addressing latest by now at this stage of this game's development. If we go by typical Battlefield time in terms of, well, the game isn't really finished until 1 year after it launches, you'd be talking about issues such as visibility, admittedly a little bit more on the controversial and divisive side. You'd be talking about the lack of footsteps, zero team balancer, the removal of core modes promised and advertised for at the launch of Battlefield 5, the limited time modes, the lacking launch features such as vehicle customization, RSP, unsatisfactory vehicle versus vehicle combat, unsatisfactory vehicle versus infantry combat, and I'm mostly talking here about tanks, but that applies to planes as well. The MMG AT rifle camping meta, Boeing's exclusive cosmetics making up the majority of any kind of desirable cosmetics, despite DICE giving us a very different idea of what to expect from the cosmetics and customization options from Battlefield 5 during their marketing campaign, and honestly a million more issues that I could list in a video comfortably going to a length of about 20 minutes. But for the sake of all of our sanity, we're going to leave it at that for today. My take on all this is DICE has a massive problem in their quality assurance department. Their testing, they've got clearly some form of organizational or leadership issue at the studio as it stands right now, and it's unacceptable for a game to be in this state even at launch, let alone 8 months into its actual life cycle. They need to be providing us a lot more information on what's going wrong, why it's so bad, and what they're doing to address it. They should be introducing community features such as the CTE to help test the actual state and patches that are coming to the game. Now, a number of community managers have pointed out that that would increase the amount of work and time needed to put out a patch, but most of the community relatively successfully counter-argues here that if you have to patch each patch 3 times to make the patch actual work, you're doing a lot more work than simply making a patch, testing it, adjusting it, and then releasing it to the public. But in the end, what matters is that we get a functional and playable Battlefield game, and as it stands right now, that is not the case. But going over into our only in Battlefield moments. And to start off with today, we have Mercury MMI showing us all how to be a fantastic squad leader and get your entire squad unintentionally killed by fall damage. Next up, we have a couple of clips by Super MCL11 and DeBroy, giving us a glimpse of some of the most skilled Battlefield players out there and just how good their situational awareness really is. And lastly, in an actual only in Battlefield moment clip and less of a troll, we have Baskin-Robbins showing us that even the invisible enemies currently in the game aren't safe from his precisely placed headshots. But with that, we're coming to the end of this week's episode. If you enjoyed the show, found it interesting or entertaining, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it, and of course hit me up with your feedback, suggestions, and opinions down below in the comments or over on Twitter. With that being said, however, I'd like to thank you very much for watching and hope to see you in the next episode of This Week on the Battlefield.